you're not grieving a relationship, you're grieving a maybe. The phone is face down on the mattress, not airplane mode, face down. Because airplane mode means you've already decided, and you haven't decided yet. Someone asked you once if you two were a thing. You said, "It's complicated," which is a phrase that means, "I know exactly what this is, and I cannot say it out loud." No label was broken, no promise was made, nothing technically ended, and you are more wrecked than you were after the last relationship, the one that came with an actual reason, a date you could name, a story you could tell. That gap between how bad this feels and how little you're supposed to call it, that's the entire video. You open their Instagram story the second it goes live. Then you reopen it 4 minutes later to check if they've seen yours. A two-part calculation you've somehow made completely automatic. You describe them as this person I've been spending time with. Not because it's accurate, because naming it means it could end. Nothing named, nothing to lose. The text took 40 minutes to write. Not because it was long, but because you rewrote it until it sounded like something a person who didn't care would send. Then you sent it anyway, and watched the delivered receipt for 11 minutes. You rehearsed the "what are we" conversation in the car, sat down, talked around it for an hour. Both of you left knowing slightly less than before you started, and somehow that felt like progress. When someone asks you if you're seeing anyone, there's a half-second pause before you answer. Small, barely noticeable. That pause is your entire situation compressed into a single grammatical hesitation. You scrolled back through 3 months of messages looking for the exact line or something changed, found nothing conclusive. And somehow, that was worse than finding something would have been. You are sitting on the edge of your bed at 11:48 p.m. The phone is face down on the mattress next to you, placed there before the call ended so you wouldn't watch the screen go dark when they hung up. The call was 4 hours. You hung up mid-laugh. And the room is doing that specific thing where silence gets loud when something was almost said and then wasn't. You keep returning to one part, somewhere around the 2-hour mark where their voice did something, where you were certain for 11 seconds that you knew exactly what this was. You've been replaying those 11 seconds ever since. Your friend texts. You don't answer, not because you're upset with them, because explaining this would require a word for it, and you don't have a word for it. And you can feel the absence of the word the way you'd feel a missing tooth. You sit there long enough that you've started doing something, deciding or not deciding. The distinction is getting harder to locate. You're not even sure what you'd be ending if you tried to end it. That question is doing a lot of work in this room. The first thing to name is intermittent reinforcement. When a reward arrives unpredictably, sometimes warm, sometimes cold, sometimes almost everything you wanted, the brain doesn't disengage. It escalates. Think about a slot machine. It pays out occasionally, randomly, for no discernible reason. And that's not a design flaw, that's the feature. Your brain is running the same software on a person. The unpredictability isn't making you less attached, it's producing the attachment. The second concept is ambiguous loss, the specific grief that has no funeral, because what you're losing was never officially real. No official ending, no social permission. No language other than people will accept as legitimate pain. Most breakups hurt because something ended. A situationship hurts because nothing ever fully started, and the brain cannot process loss for something it was never allowed to define. This next part is not a joke. What the uncertainty did to you, the not knowing, the almost, the 11 seconds on the phone, it didn't make you less attached. That is the precise opposite of what uncertainty does. It made you more attached, not because something is wrong with you, because that is the exact mechanism by which unresolved things hold. Your brain wasn't confused. It was working perfectly. That's the part that's hard to sit with. You were never given a reason to leave, which means you were never permitted to grieve, which means you've been carrying something with no name, No end date, and no one, including yourself, willing to take it seriously. The ambiguity was not an unfortunate side effect. The ambiguity was the mechanism. The brain bonds through pursuit, not through certainty, and a situationship is structurally optimized to keep you in a state of perpetual pursuit. You are not addicted to this person. You are addicted to the version of them that was almost yours. Read that again. Most people in situationships are not hurt because they were blindsided. They're hurt because they already knew. They read it correctly, understood what it was, and stayed because they almost felt like something that could still become real. Which means the wound isn't about the other person. It's about the part of you that knew and kept going. And that is a significantly harder thing to look at than "they hurt me." The word underneath the heartbreak is self-betrayal. That's a less comfortable sentence. It's also the more accurate one.
The objection forming right now is completely reasonable. We weren't even together. Nothing was broken. I don't have the right to feel this bad. That thought is understandable. It's also not yours. You were taught it. There's a hierarchy of grief that gets socially enforced, and person I spent 7 months with who never used the word relationship sits below the threshold of what most people will take seriously as a loss. But the brain doesn't file loss under social categories. It files it under attachment. And the attachment was real. To the person, to the possibility, to those 11 seconds on the phone where something felt certain. Less distance now. Just this. The absence of a label didn't prevent the attachment from forming. It just prevented you from naming the grief afterward, which means you've been processing loss with no script, no recognized ritual, no friend group willing to be as furious on your behalf as they would be for a real breakup. The pain isn't disproportionate. The pain is exact. What was withheld wasn't the grief. It was the permission to name it. Spend enough time in ambiguity and you develop a specific skill set. You get fluent in subtext, trained to read below the surface of what's being said, scanning for signals beneath signals, treating every interaction like a code that might finally resolve the question. That fluency doesn't disappear when the situation ends. The next person who is clear and consistent and obviously into you, you wait for the catch. You keep scanning for the code beneath the clarity, expecting warmth to become intermittent, because intermittent is what warmth trains you to expect it will eventually be. There's a specific kind of exhaustion that builds in prolonged ambiguity. Not the exhaustion of conflict, which at least signals something happening, but the exhaustion of sustained readiness, of being permanently tensed toward a resolution that doesn't come. Month after month of that. Nobody marks the moment it ends. No conversation, no mutual acknowledgement that something existed and is now over. Just a gradual evaporation. And then months later, someone asks you about it and you say, "I'm over it," and you mostly mean it. But the template is still running. What never got named, never got buried. It just keeps traveling. The pain wasn't a sign that you mishandled this. The pain was the correct output of a structure designed, whether deliberately or not, to maximize investment while deferring resolution indefinitely. You weren't irrational. You were doing exactly what a human brain does when it encounters something unresolved. It pursues resolution harder. That's the mechanism, not the malfunction. No performance here, just this. The question worth sitting with isn't, "Why did I let this go on so long?" That question keeps you looking backward at someone else's choices. The question is what it means that you kept going when some part of you already knew. That's the one that leads somewhere. Not because you owe yourself a lesson, but because the part of you that knew and stayed anyway, that's where the pattern actually lives. And patterns, once seen, can be interrupted. You placed it face down so you wouldn't watch the screen go dark when they hung up. Not airplane mode, because airplane mode means you'd already decided, and the entire architecture of this thing was built on not deciding. That's the situation, not the uncertainty about them. The not deciding is its own form of staying.
The face-down phone is the most honest summary of everything. Some things don't end with a conversation. They end the day you stop leaving the screen facing down. If this video just described the inside of your brain with more precision than any conversation you've actually had about this, that's the entire reason this channel exists. Your brain is a slot machine wearing someone's cologne. The subscribe button is right there. It does exactly what it says it does. No mixed signals, no vague implications, no 4-hour calls that end without a name for what they were.